Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
What is good, everybody? Good evening. Good evening on a Friday, September 26th. And this is Keep It in the Ring. And it is me, the great Tommy D, a.k.a. Thomas from the Bronx. Rich Mancuso could not be with us this week. Rich Mancuso is a very busy man. He's covering the Yankees and the Mets. He's at Yankee Stadium today covering the Yankees. They're in the midst of a playoff run, trying to win the division. They already clinched the wild card. I believe they got home field for the wild card. Now they're, I believe, one game behind Toronto with Baltimore, while Toronto has their series going on. So it's going down to the wire, and Rich Mancuso is covering it. He has to be there. He covers baseball as well as boxing. So shout out to my man Rich Mancuso for letting us do this live on a Friday evening rather than Thursday. But I wanted to continue with the show definitely this week because there's a big topic to talk about, especially in the boxing world. And it's not really boxing. I mean, to me, it's a sideshow event. It's more of a circus event, but everybody's talking about it, so I feel like we have to talk about it. So what I did this week is, instead of me doing it by myself, and sometimes I get a special guest. Last time I did it by myself, I had Keith Cologne. I figured I'm going to bring in my guys from the Sports Talk Network. I'm going to bring in a host from my show, TD Sports Talk, that I do with two great co-hosts. One of them who is running a little bit late, but my guy is here on time. One of my good friends in the DC area, none other than my man D Free. D Free, what is going on? How you been? How you doing? Tell the people a little bit about yourself, and just let the people know what is it that you like. By the way, D Free does all sports, not just boxing. So D Free, let the people know right now what you're all about.
What's going on with you, Tommy? Yeah, D Free Sports Talk. I cover the NFL, cover boxing and the NBA. The NFL is on its fourth week, so I do cover the games on Sunday from 1 until the end of the 4 o'clock games. So that's what I do on my channel. I will be covering the NBA when the NBA comes into season, and I do occasionally talk boxing when we have some decent events going on. Right now, we got the Jake Paul and the Tank Davis. Not really a boxing match, more of an exhibition, but it's a guy that's well known in the boxing industry by the name of Tank Davis. And then you have Jake Paul, a YouTube guy that's known for his promotion of the women's sport of boxing. So everybody's talking about it. So we're going to be covering it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, D Free, doing the show with me. Our other host, he'll be on hopefully shortly. I'll introduce him shortly. A lot of you may know him already. He's been covering boxing for the last 20, 25 years. He's written, he's been on the radio, he's been at events, but he'll introduce himself when he gets on. But let's go to the chat real quick before we get started. There's some people already in the building early. My man Joseph Townsend, salute to you, salute. My man BVO Sports, also the Sports Talk Network. He's saluting me and D Free. My man, the Boxing Source, how you doing, bro? He's up in here, says, yo, what's good? It was good to see you the other day. He was at the press conference this past Monday here in New York. And, he also covers boxing. So go check out the Boxing Source, man. He's really good at what he does. He covers the sport of boxing. He's at the events. He flies to the events. This guy is the real deal. So go check out his channel for sure, please. And salute to Vay. Don't forgive me if I mess this up. Vay K Bay. She says, hey, D Free, stopping by to show love. Headed to work. And she says, hi, TD. Salute to you and thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. And I will salute everybody as they come into the building. But on to the topic at hand. We're going to make it real easy for us to talk today. Keep It in the Ring is all about what they do inside the ring, right? But we're going to talk about a press conference. So they're not really in the ring yet, but we got to talk about it because everybody's talking about it. You see it here. Tank Davis, some may say one of the faces of boxing, taking on the YouTube star Jake Paul. And some people say, hey, he may be one of the faces of boxing. So, the first question is this going to be a real fight, D Free? Do you think this is going to be a real fight?
Nah, I don't think it's going to be a real fight. I mean, you got a guy that's weighing in at 195 pounds, and you got another guy, probably the biggest he's probably going to weigh in is probably somewhere around 140 something, maybe 150. So with that being said, off the break, that's not a real fight because usually in the boxing world, in the real boxing world, um, you can't weigh more than I think like 4 pounds than your opponent, or the commissioner is going to say this is not a sanctioned fight. So in that aspect, it's not a real fight. Now, will it get serious in the fight? I think at some point it probably will get serious because Jake Paul likes to play a lot of games, and Tank Davis seems like he's not for the foolishness. So I think at some point it will get serious, but I think it's probably an underlying rule between those two that they can't knock each other out or anything like that. So I don't think it's going to be a fight where we're going to see somebody get knocked out. We might see somebody get caught with a nice shot or something like that, but I don't think we're going to see anybody get knocked out or seriously hurt in the fight at any point.
Okay. Joseph Townsend says, hell no, it's not a real fight. An exhibition has to be scripted. Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. That press conference to me was mostly scripted. I mean, they had clowns at the event. I mean, it was coincidentally that they talked about clowns and the clowns appeared. I mean, it had to be scripted. I mean, some of the things that Jake Paul was saying to Tank Davis was really disrespectful, in my opinion. Even if it is set up, it's just certain things, in my opinion, in my belief, I just think you don't say on a big platform such as this, especially in a big press conference, all eyes on you. A lot of people are going to be watching. I mean, millions are going to watch this on Netflix. I'm assuming millions are paying attention to the press conference. Certain things you say, certain things you shouldn't be saying. And, he went at Tank Davis personally with his personal problems outside the ring. I'm not going to mention them here on this channel. I mean, most of you people that are watching already know. I think that's bad taste. You just don't say things like that. And I think Tank Davis didn't do a good job defending himself. And, Tank Davis to me didn't look like he was all there, honestly. And no disrespect to him because, saying somebody's not all there, it could be kind of an insult, but he really didn't. His words and the way he expressed himself, I don't know if he has a speech impediment, with the stuttering, but he didn't do a great job. You don't let the guy disrespect you, a bunch of personal problems in front of all those people. I mean, I know it's an exhibition, but at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a fight, right? And if I felt like I got disrespected, I'm going to defend myself best as possible, and there's going to be some hostility involved as well. And to me, Tank didn't really show that. So I'm not sure if they had him reserved or if they told him this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to talk about. Hey, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to mention this. Are you okay with it? Don't take it too seriously. It's just to kind of promote the fight, And I truly believe those words had to be said before the press conference even started. That's my true, honest belief. We'll never know. I know I'm not the only one that agrees with that states that. Other people may believe that it was all real, that it was serious. But to me, I feel like the press conference was scripted and that the fight, when the fight starts, it's going to be somewhat scripted as well. I'm going to move it over to you, D Free. Let me just shout out more people that came into the building. My man B3 Picks is in the building. Salute to you. Shawalaya, how you doing? Thanks for coming through. Salute to you. Thanks for coming through. Champ Ross, appreciate you. Salute to you. Thanks for coming through. My man Crush the Legend. Masters of Ceremonies, the Grumpy OGs. Check that out when you get a chance. I love my man Crush. With the Grumpy OGs is a great show. Shaw was just saying blessings. My man Joe Townsend says Tank's replay was I am not like Diddy. This is a family show, Joe. It's a family show, all right? My man Shelton, he's calling me Aki, lying about today. I'm not lying, man. I'm doing my best, to be the truth, say the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And Tank's reply, I'm not going to do it, man. This is a family show. But D Free, as far as the script, as far as what's fake and what's real, about the press conference, did you believe anything in the press conference was actually real? or do you feel like the whole thing was kind of scripted?
Nah, I mean, like you said, I think it was all scripted. I mean, when Tank Davis called Jake Paul a clown, but Jake Paul was like, "Nah, I'm not a clown. Tank, you're the clown." All of a sudden, two clowns appeared, and all. I'm like, "Dog, this is the worst." It was like you can tell that the press conference wasn't real. For one, it sounded like the audience was fairly empty. It didn't sound like it was a lot of people there.
No.
But then it just some of the things that Jake Paul was saying, it was too laid back, like they already knew what they was about to say. They knew what the other person was going to say, and he knew what his response was going to be. It was too laid back, and I was like, this ain't real. This is scripted. And to be honest with you, the only reason why I paid attention to it is because you was live there, and so I was like, I gotta show support to my man Tommy. He live there, so let me go to his channel. So that's the only reason why I watched it. Other than that, I would have never saw it.
Yeah. Listen, I was there because I wanted to get the content and just in hopes that maybe I get some interviews where people come out, the fighters usually come out after that. They do what they call the scrums and get to talk to some people. They said that Gary Anton was supposed to be there. He was not there. There were a few fighters there. Ali Felice was there. Jay Leon Love, who was actually working with Jake Paul. If anybody knows Jay Leon Love, he was a former fighter, part of the money team. A couple people were there. So that's why I went, and it was in my city, and it doesn't hurt to go over there. And I was trying to get some content, but I would tell you one thing: when I was waiting online to get in, I saw those two clowns with their box and everything, and they had the shirt, where they worked or whatever, the company they work for, and I was like, oh, they got two clowns coming in. I mean, obviously to me, it was part stage. I'm gonna play a clip. One with Jake Paul and one with Tank Davis. We're going to talk each about that clip as we give more time to my man Sock. But let me go to the comments real quick. My man Mike McGurk, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. He says the fight is going to end in the draw as they both win and lose. Tank not going to take that L. That is if he stays on script. You know what? I can see that happening. I mean, nobody loses, nobody wins. I mean, the winners are going to be the fighters in the ring that makes the money. I mean, Tank supposedly going to make like $40 million. I don't know how true that is or false that is. Jake Paul is the A side of this. It's his event, MVP promotion. So who knows? Straight WWE, Triple H versus Rey Mysterio. Yes, indeed. As far as the size, that's exactly what it is. So I mean, it's crazy. My man, the boxing source. Yeah, this was not near the level of Jake versus. Yeah, nowhere near. It's not even close. My man, A1 Hoop Zone salute. He says, hey, Thomas, trying to get an endorsement deal with Maybelline lipstick or something. That's in reference to Tank Davis, who likes to paint his fingernails. Hey, no judgment, man. You do what you want to do, right, Tank? I mean, hey, I'm not going to make any judgment here. My man, I don't even know what to respond to that. I'm not even going to say it, but salute to my man, Mr. Shelton in the building. Autism Boy Cottages. Salute to you. Thanks for coming through. But let's go to this clip real quick. I just got one. I want to play this clip. Jake Paul talking about, what he feels and what's going to happen in the fight with his opponent, Tank Davis. Give me 1 second and I'll play it right now.
I think first and foremost is going to just be my reach, my size, being able to keep him away. I think there's a lot of holes in his defense that a lot of people haven't exposed before. And he's a great fighter, one of the best. I'm excited. He's elevating me to a new height. He's making me push myself to my limits. I'm more locked in than ever. But at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be able to come out on top and outbox the guy who's been doing it for 7 times as long as me.
So he's talking about that, basically saying that now he's fighting a real fighter, that nobody gives him credit for the fights that he's already had. But he's fighting a real fighter. This is true. It's an exhibition, but the guy is 65 pounds smaller than he is. And, this is not a real fight. I mean, it's kind of a joke when you have a guy that's weighing 195 pounds and is now ranked in the top 15 in the cruiserweight, I believe the cruiserweight division, ranked top 15, taking on, the 135 WBA champion. I don't know. I don't know if anybody would give him any credit for him knocking out Tank Davis. I mean, let's say the fight is not scripted. Let's say they go in there and they really try to take that head off, or in Tank's case, try to take his stomach off. I don't know if he could reach Jake Paul, but let's say they go in there trying to rip each other apart. And let's say Jake Paul does knock out Tank or knocks him down or washes him. Does Jake Paul get any type of credit?
Nah, Jake Paul don't get no credit. I mean, if anybody gonna get credit, it'll be Tank Davis. He knocked out Jake Paul. He's 195 pounds. But I mean, nobody's gonna get any credit, to be honest with you. Like I said, the only person that would get credit would be Tank. Jake Paul, I mean, that's like me coming out here and knocking out my great nephew. I mean, I'm not gonna get no credit for fighting my great nephew. I'm supposed to beat him. He's much smaller than me, much younger than me. I'm supposed to beat him. It's the same thing with Jake Paul. The man is much smaller than you. You outweigh him by like 55 pounds. You're supposed to beat him. That if you don't beat him, we're going to be looking at you crazy. Why didn't you beat a man that was 55 pounds smaller than you?
I agree. I think I don't think he gets any type of credit. Except that he said he was in the ring with a real world champion, but that's about it. I mean, the guy's going to be 60 pounds lighter than him. I don't even know if there's any type of rehydration clause. Like it's at 195. So can Jake Paul go up to like 210 or 215 if he wanted to? That I don't know. They're going to wear 12-ounce gloves, right? And then they then at the press conference in Miami, they went and they made an agreement to wear 10-ounce gloves. I don't know how true that's going to be, but 12-ounce gloves. I really don't like Tank Davis's odds in this fight if it's a real fight. I really don't. All the skill in the world, but that size difference is just too huge in my opinion. I'm gonna play a clip for Tank Davis and I think he's discussing his challenge in the fight. This one's a little bit longer, so bear with me. Let me just play this now.
It just I don't want to put a lot out there, but it's just, doing what's best for me and what's right for me. And I've been doing this for a little minute now. I've been doing it since I was 7 years old. So this is the first camp I can, enjoy myself, be back myself. Like, even leading up to, like, the rematch of the Roach fight, it was more so like, I don't want to get too much in it, but November the 14th, you got Jake Paul and me. I think it's going to be a great event. Every time I fight is fireworks. Jake Paul coming in, he's much bigger, he's much stronger. Boxing wins come November the 14th. It's not just me and Jake on a fight. It's a whole card, and we just giving boxing what it needs, and that's excitement.
So as my other host just pops up, I'm going to introduce him in a minute. But here, I mean, I see D-Free laughing. I don't know if he's laughing at this or the comments. We'll get to it in a minute. But here, Tank is talking about he's doing it for boxing, and that he's been boxing for a minute since he's been a young age, and that, in the press conference, and maybe not in just this comment he was saying here, he mentioned that he can be more relaxed in this fight as far as training camp and stuff like that, because he wants a challenge, but he's not taking it as serious as he would a Lamont Roach. That's what I interpreted from it. And then at the end, also I interpreted that he's saying he's doing it for boxing. Do you buy or sell that he's doing it for boxing? Just hold that thought. I want to introduce my other co-host, who's always consistently late. He's one of my best friends in the whole wide world. He has been covering boxing for a very long time. He's been on radio. He's written articles. He's worked for a boxing website as well. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell a little bit about himself as well. It's my man, from the Sports Talk Network as well, from TD Sports Talk, my man Socrates Palmer Jr. What's going on, bro? Welcome, welcome.
Good evening. How are you, gentlemen? D Free, what's good? Thomas.
Yeah, we're just covering for Rich Mancuso. But before we get into what we just saw with the video and what I was just mentioning, I want you to let the people know who you are and what you've been doing, and as far as the sport of boxing is concerned.
Well, as you gave me the nice intro, you put me over. I've been covering boxing as part of the media since we're going over 20 years. The first fight that I covered in the media, unfortunately I'll never forget. It was a sad tragedy that happened. Khalid Jones and B. Scotland. It was an ESPN fight here in New York at the Intrepid, and it ended in tragedy when Scotland, who was from Maryland area, passed away. As a result of punishment against Khalid Jones, who was from Jersey. So I always remember that night, unfortunately. And then ever since then, I've been covering boxing for a couple of websites, like you mentioned, boxingtalk.com. More recently, I've been a part of ringtalk.com. Oh, not .com, Ring Talk, the longest running boxing radio show with Pedro Fernandez. And also I've gotten involved on the inside of boxing. I've worked public relations for several fighters, served as a translator in English, Spanish, and most recently I've been doing strength and conditioning now. So with fighters. So I'm a boxing lifer, lifelong fan, and opinionated sometimes, and I like doing this. Now, as we evolve, right? The new wave of media. Before, the internet was the new kids on the block. Now it's the only block.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
So, happy to do the show with good peoples like you guys.
Yep, and I would like to mention that as we taking over for Rich Mancuso, this is Rich Mancuso's show, Keeping in the Ring. Rich was introduced to me by Socrates. Socrates introduced Rich Mancuso to me. So you worked with Rich way before I've started working with Rich Mancuso.
Yeah, well, I know Rich Mancuso going back to the public access television days. Before the internet, independent producers could put together a program, and Rich, when I met him, had a wrestling boxing program on public access channel called BronxNet. And he would come on every Saturday, and I met him just being around media. At the time, I believe I was working for a local paper called the Bronx Times, which was my first job out of college back in 1999. So that's how long I know Rich. Yeah, it's rained a little bit since.
Great to have you, Sock.
Thank you.
It's great to have you, Sock. We're gonna go talk more about this. Let me go to some comments in the chat, and then we'll go to this video and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll segue to you, Sock. So you give us your opinion overall in the press conference in the fight. So my man Mike McGurk is saying, as Shakur said in Gil's podcast, that he can see Tank just doing this money grab so he can retire after. We're definitely going to mention that as well. We're going to talk about that. My man AB, salute to you. Thanks for coming through. Salute. Ernest is in here. He says, we're about to get busy. Who else is here, my man? Because I know D-Free laughing. I'm sure it's something that Joe Townsend, he says, every time I hear a Tank talk, I think of Bobby Boucher.
Ouch.
Everybody's laughing in the chat. Shower saluting you, Sock. Let's see, Ernest. I try to get everybody in the chat so we could let them know that we're here and we're listening to. Also if they have questions, we'll bring it up too. He's got 20 years worthy of tardy slips. People with ADHD stay late and get an excuse. Really, yeah, you guys are going in. Who else? Kui. Salute to Kui. She says, "What's happening?" Salute to you. Thanks for coming through. And all right, so let's go. Oh, Joe, I think you just won. You just won the night with that comment. Sock. We just heard this little statement from Tank Davis. If you need me to replay it, I'll replay it. But basically,
no, please don't.
No, yeah. He's basically saying, you know, he doesn't really have to. To me, it sounds like he doesn't have to work too hard like he would for a fight. He's kind of tired of the game. It looks like, and you know, he's doing it for boxing. What do you buy and sell on what Tank is saying as far as doing it for the sport of boxing?
Well, you know what? Believe it or not, there's a lot to unpack. You know, Tank has. I mean, obviously, you got to count the amateurs. He's been fighting for a long time, and you know, Tank is a success story considering the fact, you know, where he's from, his childhood. Boxing does not have a pension or a 401k, so you got to make your money while you can, and he's maximizing his value. I only have a problem with it because he still has a lot left of real boxing left. You know, if this was, you know, Mayweather or Ali, you know, let's you know, the horse is in the barn. You know, they you know, when they were doing these exhibitions, obviously, you know, their legacies were cemented already. Tank, you know, despite him being, you can argue, top 2 or 3 biggest names in all of boxing, there's still a lot of unfinished business. Most recently with Lamont Roach. If he would have beat Lamont Roach decisively and he decided to do this circus fight, I think you'd have very little people, you know, having a problem with it. You know, even the fact that, oh, you know, there's other guys, contemporaries like Shakur, and let's say Devin Haney or anyone else, you know what? He'd be stupid to turn down the type of money that he's going to make against Jake Paul. Jake Paul, for better or worse, is one of the most well-known athletes, because I guess he's an athlete, in the world. You know, certainly in America, you see the numbers that he did in Netflix, you know, with the Tyson fiasco. You know, is Tank guaranteed? What his purse is $30 million? People are reporting, or maybe more.
I saw 40 million as well. I saw 40 million.
It's hard to gauge, right? Because it's not like back in the day with pay-per-view. Okay, you get a cut of that. This is on, you know, on Netflix, the biggest, you know, streaming platform there is. So, I mean, look, it is what it is. Do I wish that we were talking about a Lamont Roach rematch? Yeah, but I mean, if we were in Tank's shoes, how do you turn down that type of money? You know, how?
Okay.
How? You know, and plus the fact, I don't think Tank's heart is in the sport anymore. You know, I don't think he's in the sport. And, you know, let's face it. I mean, look, he's had a good career. People want to, you know, talk about his resume, but people are very selective. You know what I mean? He's been favored in almost every fight. You know, but he still has good names. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the great name yet.
Okay, that's very fair. That's very fair, and and I'm going to get to part of what you said in a minute, but I'm going to go into my man D Free. The comments. I'm going to read your comments in a minute, but D Free, what do you take on what Tank just said and what Sock just said? I think you're on mute. You're on mute, bro. Yeah. Go ahead. Good.
All right, my bad. Yeah, when Tank started talking, the first thing that popped in my head is when BF imitates Tank Davis. Like, you know, that's what had me dying. But
that's messed up.
The thing is, Tank don't even sound convincing as this is a real fight. It doesn't sound convincing. Everything is like, I'm just saying it because I need to say something to make this sound good, but he doesn't believe what he's saying. So it's kind of hard to get up for the fight when the own fighters don't believe in it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, like Sock said, how can you turn down $40 million? And if we was in Tank's shoes, I think probably 99.9 of us would take that same fight because it's $40 million. He's not going to make a guarantee of $40 million probably in no fight unless Turkey offer him a big bag or something for a fight that Turkey really wants. I don't think he gets offered $40 million for a fight. So it's kind of hard to say, why is he taking that fight? Well, you're not in the shoes to say. You could say I wouldn't take that fight. I'd take a real fight. I'm in the prime of my career. It's easy to say that when the money is not on the table for you. But when that offer is on the table for you, it's kind of hard to say, nah, I'm not going to do that. I don't know anybody that a $40 million offer on there to do an exhibition fight. I don't know anybody that's going to say, nah, I'm not taking that fight. I don't know anybody. You could say you wouldn't do it, but I say you a liar because you saying that because it's not offered to you.
Yeah.
It's not offered to you. So yeah, you can easily say, no, I wouldn't do it. But $40 million sitting in your face, they said, look, this is an exhibition. You just gotta take this fight and make it look good. You get $40 million. Man, you saw what Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson ain't fought in like 30 years. He said, man, I'll take that $20 million. So I mean, it just to try to sell it as a real fight, it's going to be hard to do. But I'm not mad at Tank Davis for going to get his money.
Okay. Let me go to the comments because I got two things on that. My man Michael McGurk, he says he's striking while fire hot. If he fought rematch with Roach and loses or gets another draw, then this big time money fight wouldn't be there. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. But at the end of the day, as fans, we want to see the best fight the best, right? And if we're supporters of any fighter, we only want to see them fight the best guys. You know, I mean, we don't want to see them fight in exhibitions like this because, you know, listen, Tank is sold out like 8 or 9 straight venues or events in a row, which is a great achievement. And listen, the last I checked, some of these Hall of Famers that got in really didn't get in because of their resume. They got in because they made money. They made good. They sold out venues. So I mean, I don't agree with that. You know, I agree with putting people in the Hall of Fame because you're the best in your sport, not because you made the most money or you made boxing the most money, if that makes sense. And I think we've seen a few people in the Hall of Fame recently because they're good gate sellers, not because of their resume. So, hey, you know, T-shirt only can't get mad at it. The Boxing Source, this was in the works for a while, regardless of the result in March. Exactly, and that's what I wanted to get to in a minute. Salute to Dank Fighter. Salute to my man Opulent LD. Good looks. Thank you for coming through. Dank Fighter says the man about his money, been about it. Stop expecting greatness from the guy. He just wants his paper. And there's nothing wrong with that. My problem with that is kind of what Boxing Source just said, is that this was always in the cards. Kind of what I said March 2nd, and he kind of told you this March 1st, right? And in the post press conference. By the way, he took like 3 hours to show up to the post fight press conference after the draw, made everybody wait. But he kind of said that. He didn't say a name. He said, "Listen, I kind of got a fight in the works. You're gonna see soon." Yada yada yada. He was in the locker room, blah blah blah. And I went on record. We went live the next day, and I said it's gonna be Jake Paul. And my problem with this is that he kind of made Roach wait and wait as for thinking that there's going to be a rematch. And look, Roach is without a fight. Supposedly he's going to fight Pitbull Cruz. I don't know how definite that is, but now you made this guy wait already. It's been 6 months. March 1st, we're in September, almost October. What's that, 7 months, right? Maybe my math is wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But you made the guy wait 7 months and have no fight. And I think that's where he's wrong. And as a boxing fan, I can't salute that, and I can't, say that that's something great. I think that's bad for the sport. You know, we already got fighters fighting once or twice a year, right? As supporters of the sport of boxing, yeah, we're going to have our favorites, but we want to see our favorites in the ring, and we want to see them fight the best out there. We don't want them to fight once a year, and then we got to wait to see the next time you come up. I mean, that's not what the sport was. That's not the sport that I grew up watching, where guys are fighting like 3 times a year. We don't see that anymore. So I think that's what's wrong with it, and that's what I'm against. Yeah, you want to make your paper? Fine. And the second thing is, I truly don't believe he's in it anymore. He's in the sport anymore. He kind of told you that. He kind of said he wanted to go and see what a psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever the case may be, and that he had to quit boxing first because, you can't go do that because, it was kind of like an awkward engage he had with the person that he spoke to, saying that, I want to be softer for my daughter, and in boxing I got to be harder. Pause for all you people out there. But that's what he said, right? So I truly believe this is a money grab and he's out. And what I don't want to see, and what I think we might end up seeing, is I think he takes this money grab, whether it's a scripted show or it's a real exhibition, and I think he sits out for like a year. And then after that year, he comes back and fights somebody like a Shakur or maybe he fights a Devin Haney at a catchweight, or maybe he fights a Tio, and then he gets washed. And people are going to say, oh, well, they beat Tank, but they didn't beat the best version of Tank. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. So I'll land the plane there. I don't know if anybody want to rebut that or speak on it.
Yeah,
If not, commercial break, but go ahead, D3.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of already told us, like you said, even before the press conference. If you remember, it was a tweet that he put out, and they was talking about the fight with Lamont Roach, and there was a tweet that he had put out, and I think this was before the Lamont Roach fight had actually happened the first time, and he said, people saying all this, well, my next fight they're gonna be mad, and nobody really paid attention to it, and he was talking about the Jake Paul fight because everybody's mad that he's going to take the Jake Paul fight, and so he kind of let us know that. But I don't feel that his heart is in it as well. I think it's literally he's trying to stack his money. I do believe that he didn't intentionally meant to for the rematch to take so long to happen, because I think he really was going to have a rematch, but because of the incident that happened with his baby mother, it kind of put that rematch on hold, because he had the Jake Paul fight coming up shortly after the rematch, because the rematch was supposed to happen in August, and then he was going to have the Jake Paul fight in November. But because that incident happened, it kind of put everything on hold. And so I don't know if he's going to come back. For his fans' sake, I hope he do. And he takes a serious fight. But I don't know. I mean, I always say when it comes to Tank Davis, you can't predict what Tank Davis is going to do. You just got to sit back and wait to see what he announced, and then you criticize it or praise it accordingly. So I don't know what he's gonna do, but for his fans' sake, I hope he does come back and take a serious fight, or a fight that they want to see him in.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, we're gonna do, before we go to USAC, I'm gonna go to it because we got to do the commercial breaks here on the Mancuso Keep It in the Ring show. We have to do it, so we're gonna go to a quick commercial break. We'll come back with more, and we're also gonna do the fact of the week. I got a good fact of the week. It's gonna be pretty easy. I think you guys will get it, but we'll also be doing the fact of the week. So bear with me. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And we're back. Had to pay the sponsors real quick, so before I get fired. But yeah, real quick. So Saki was about to say something, and I'll go to the chat with the comments. But go ahead and kind of segue off of what D-Free just said.
Well, I mean, I really don't think well, to put the topic to bed, Tank is needed in boxing, okay? From a standpoint that boxing right now is in a transition period of where are the stars, you know? I mean, Canelo Alvarez, who's been the biggest money man in the sport for, you know, over 10 years, let's say, he's on his way out. You know, Terrence Crawford, his biggest win, you know, came a couple of weeks ago, but Terrence is 37. You know, Tank Davis already has a brand. You know, he appeals to an audience who's not a boxing junkie audience, right? He appeals to the casual, which is what's needed. You know, and the sport of boxing needs stars to grow. We've had guys that haven't been able to fulfill, you know, expectations, like, you know, the guy that he'll, you know, be tied at the hip, Ryan Garcia. You know, Ryan Garcia was supposed to be Oscar De La Hoya 2.0. It's not happening, you know. So the sport of boxing is hurting. It's always been built on the back of stars, and the star, not necessarily skill wise. I'm talking about someone who can sell seats, sell tickets, like you mentioned earlier, and someone that fights in a way that fans want to see. And say what you want, Tank Davis, his fights normally end the way you want to see fights end. Someone on their back or face first. So that's I think that I hope that Tank does come back in the real world. After, but I don't think that we'll see him again. I think he's mentally checked out, and he's just going to cash in this big check against Jake Paul. And if he does, let him stay out. Because, like, to piggyback off what you said, I don't want to see a refurbished version of Tank Davis.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Except his last fight, he didn't put nobody in his back. It was a stinker. It looked almost like a sparring session. But everybody's due for a stinker every once in a while, right? Let me go to some of these comments. My man Dank Fighter says now Leonard is on X saying Lamont talked his way out of the payday, huh? Leonard Ellaby knows a lot about boxing, so we'll just talk about that. He knows more about boxing than anybody else. He says they heard him say he want therapy, and they've asked him not to be, so he can keep the killer mentality. Well, let's see if he has a killer mentality in this exhibition. Mike McGurk, I think we all need to hope that whatever happens doesn't take him from fighting someone real next. Can see Turkey throwing the bag for something big next year. Well, Turkey's tried to throw him the bag, and Tank didn't want it. He said something about, what was it that he asked for, like 2 Lamborghinis or something like that, which is probably less than what Turkey was going to give him anyway. I think that was the quote he said. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, you two. I'm not too sure, but I think he asked for 2 Lamborghinis. The man said we want to go to school, and then he said no, leaving your money on the table can't make hey.
But you know what though, Tom?
Go ahead.
Tank is one of the few fighters that doesn't need Turkey.
He doesn't.
Tank was making bread before Turkey, So let's look, the Ryan Garcia fight happened without Turkey. So Tank could still, you could throw the monopoly money that Turkey, is going to throw at you, but Tank can still command a big check. So, and more people, more people know Tank than just about any fighter that Turkey, promotes. Turkey does, Tank doesn't need Turkey.
Okay, and that's a fair point. I'm going to say something about that 1 second. Salute to Tay, the real queen of MMA. My man DP Rocker, salute. My man Thomas Hill, salute. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you guys. A1 says Tank don't give a about the spark of the sport or his fans. Dude only worry about chasing the bag, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, especially with the comments, that's another thing. Making the comments to the fans, asking him, as fans to fight his contemporaries, and he's going and snapping at him, saying F you and just be a fan, and I think that's uncalled for. Let me see. I don't want to miss any questions if there's any. Bella Fett, Lamont Roach beat old dude into retirement. Well, that's what he can go off on if that does exist. If that does indeed happen after this exhibition. Damn, it's the Keep It in the Ring program, DP. Keep it in the ring. Sock and Tank needs to answer these ninja questions so people can have their fix and give up the fights they clamor to see Tank in so they can come up with different narratives. Let's see what else. I'm going to just scroll through. Salute to Queen 71 and coming through. Appreciate it. The thing about this, Sock, is this, like, Tank is usually the A side to everybody. He doesn't need Turkey, right? But it seems like he needs somebody because he's letting Jake Paul be the A side. Because make no mistake about it, Sock, Jake Paul is the A side of this event. This is his show. So,
but he's the A side against everybody.
A side against everybody, but it seems like he can't make the fight, or he doesn't want to fight his contemporaries, but he's taking the B side to get paid. So after this fight, he could still be the A side to everybody else, but against who is he going to do it? So that's my only problem. And then what happens with this is that you give Jake Paul that power, and you go in there and you lose to Jake Paul. Boxing takes an L. I believe boxing takes an L.
It's an exhibition. It's an exhibition, so there's no judges.
There's going to be judges scoring the fight. It's just not going to count in their record. So they're going to have legit judges for this fight. and they're going to score it. They're going to score this 10 rounds, 3-minute rounds.
What gloves are they going to use? Are
So
they going to use?
they originally agreed to 12-ounce gloves, but on Tuesday at the press conference in Miami, they both said, "Okay, let's do 10-ounce gloves." So I'm not sure how true that they're going to do 10-ounce gloves. Yeah, that's crazy. But right as of now, it looks like
He ain't doing no
10
10-ounce. Fuck out of here. He's not. I mean, I'm sorry. We on Richie, so he's not doing 10-ounce gloves.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So, but they're gonna have professional judges, and they're gonna score the fight according, like if it's a real fight. So, if he loses this fight, here's the big question before we land our plane and go to the fact of the week: does boxing take an L if Tank Davis loses? Who wants to go for
Not really. I don't think so.
I don't think so because nobody considered this a real fight. So I don't think boxing takes an L.
Right. I don't think. I think people. I think what we're seeing is just an extension of boxing. This is boxing entertainment. You know, the same way you have WWE wrestling, World Wrestling Entertainment. I think this is just a different extension of boxing. It's because a lot of people don't believe that any of Jake Paul's fights are real. You know, other than the Nate Robinson fight, you know, that might be, you know. So
that was a mismatch. That guy never fought in his life.
Exactly.
I mean, he probably had fights, but he's never been in a ring before. That was unfair.
You know, Ben Askren. You know, like it's how many people really think that, you know, the fight with Mike Tyson was real? You know, he lost it to Tommy Fury, right?
Yeah.
You know, has Tommy Fury fought?
That was the only real fight that he had. That's the only real fight he had was Tommy Fury, and he lost it.
Did
lost. Tommy Fury fight?
At least he dropped him.
Did Tommy Fury fight ever since?
You know what? I don't think he has. I don't know.
I'm about to say no. He hasn't fought since that fight.
And that was what 3 years ago.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. No, I don't think boxing takes L. I mean, I think I think boxing is in a bad place. You know, because like you said, guys are not fighting as, you know, the Monster in no way is like the most active fighter. You know, he's like the most active elite fighter there is. You know, everyone else fighting twice a year. You know, Shakur Stevenson has been a twice-a-year fighter for how long now?
That's true too.
You know,
but at least Shakur has moved up, and he's won multi-titles at different weight classes. You know,
he's been a twice-a-year fighter for his entire career.
Has he ever? But did he ever beat the lineal champ to win those titles? Like of those divisions? No. Like was he ever? No. So don't. You know, it's like Adrian Broner's world titles, right? You know. So now does that mean that if he was in the ring with the best, does that mean he doesn't win? No, not necessarily, but you know, it's a little bit overplayed. Yeah. You know, a guy in his prime, just, you know, I don't want to sound like the old man, but I'll take it back. Look at James Toney. James Toney, when he was middleweight champ, used to fight non-title fights. You know, I don't know if it was the handlers because they knew of James's weight gain, but he was fighting 4, 5, 6 times a year, which is insane. And it's not, and that's not that long ago. Okay, you can look it up on YouTube in color TV. You know,
that's a good point. I'm going to do one more quick commercial break. We'll come back with the fact of the week. Salute to my man, Hot Rod Horse Player. No link today. This is not my show. This is Rich Mancuso's Keep It in the Ring show. We're covering for him. So no link today. We'll have a link later when we go on live later on and do our football talk. Shout out to my man, the Odd Fella, up in here as well. So let's just do one more quick commercial break. We'll come back with the fact of the week. It's a good one.
Petwell Clinic was built with busy pet parents like you in mind, providing walk-in preventative vet care, treatment for minor ailments, and chronic condition management. You remain with your pet throughout their visit, and all charges are clearly explained, so there are no surprises at checkout. Just walk in to our Paramus, Greenbrook, or Union locations, or visit us at petwellclinic.com for more information.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And we're back. So final thoughts on this upcoming fight. What is it? November 14th. What do you think happens? Win or lose? Who you got in this fight? And give me a little prediction as of now. What do you think happens? D-Free, you can lead off.
I think Tank Davis is going to make Jake Paul chase him around the range, and then Jake Paul is going to get tired. And then Tank Davis is going to press the action and do what he always does. Jake Paul gasses out after the first 4 or 5 rounds. Jake Paul is going to be swinging big shots, trying to put on a show for the fans. And then he's going to end up getting tired. And then Tank Davis is going to take over the second half of the fight. And I think they're going to have Tank Davis win this fight because he's going to take over the second half.
Okay. Doc?
I mean, I'm afraid to break this down like a real fight because I just don't think it's going to be a real fight. I think it's just going to be, an orchestrated fight. I think that neither one of them, is going to leave the ring wearing sunglasses to the press conference. It's not. I think it's just going to be a nice exhibition, and people are not going to get mad because hey, you ain't paid for it. It's part of your subscription, so you can't say, oh, I got ripped off. Whatever. So, you know what I mean? You can't even stick your middle finger at them and say, I'm gonna steal this fight, because unless you're a bum, who doesn't have Netflix? You know what I mean? So
the intangibles. These are the intangibles that Sox brings to the table here in the Sports Talk Network and here and Keep It in Ring. The intangibles. That's what I like to hear. But Sox, what if we have? What about this, guys? And I've heard people say this before. I'm going to say it here. What if this is Apollo Creed versus Ivan Drago? That was an exhibition match in Rocky IV. That was an exhibition. It wasn't a real fight. What if we get Drago, Jake Paul, knocking out Apollo Creed, Tank Davis, and, I don't know who's going to be his corner. And Coach Calvin doesn't throw the towel in time. What if we get that, Sock? What's going to happen then?
Well, then you're going to have the skeptics like me going to say Tank took a dive. Tank did a Malik Scott. Yo,
that's cold. That is.
And it's not cold. That's fire. I say to Malik Scott's face, he took a dive. Right? Come on, man, that's bullshit. Nobody believes that. He did a Greg Louganis. Huh?
I don't think he got a shot against Malik Scott.
No, I'm not saying I'm gonna challenge your fight, but I say I think he took a dive. And if he swung on me, hey, you know what? I'm playing with house money, right?
To be honest with you, it could be a dive either way. I mean, Jake Paul can take a dive in this fight.
Nah, I don't think Jake. When you talk, I thought you were going to bring up like Rocky and Thunder Lips. Maybe just it ends in a big, a big, S show, right? I don't want to lose any sponsors. I'm afraid to, to use some colorful language, but I don't want to cost Rich the bag.
Nah. You good. But this was fun. I appreciate you guys. We're gonna go to the fact of the week. I did this for yesterday because usually we go on Thursday nights. So this is as of Thursday, September 25th, 1962. Give me 1 second. Let me just put the factory. Rich doesn't like when I do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. September 25th, 1962. That was yesterday. That was over 53 years ago. Check me on my math. My math is usually spot on, but maybe I'm wrong. So over 53 years ago, September 25th, 1962, Sonny Liston defeated Floyd Patterson for his first and I think his only world heavyweight title. That was the first of 2 fights. They ended up having a rematch. That fight took place at Comiskey Park in Chicago. So the fact of the week is Comiskey Park has held a bunch of boxing events. I believe they held 5 world title fights for world title events. Which ballpark has hosted the most world title fights in boxing? Which baseball ballpark?
Ooh. That's a great question. I I know Comiskey had the famous long count with Gene Tunney and Jack Dempsey, which is probably the most famous fight. I take a shot in the dark. I say, old Yankee Stadium. Joe Louis beat Max Schmeling, right? Yankee Stadium.
Mhm.
Ali fought at Yankee Stadium. Miguel Cotto fought at Yankee Stadium. I'm gonna take a stab at Yankee Stadium.
Okay. My career was 62 years ago. D Free, you take a stab before I give the answer away. So Sock says Yankee Stadium. Queen, you're right. 62 years ago. My math is terrible.
I was gonna say Yankee Stadium as well. I was thinking either Yankee Stadium or the Chicago Cubs Stadium. I can't think of the name of it.
Wrigley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. Comiskey, I believe, had more than Wrigley. Comiskey Park, which is where the White Sox play, that had more. But the most is Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium has had over about 62 bouts, 48 world titles, 48 events, boxing events, and I think how many world titles does it say? Including 30 championship fights. And Sock mentioned a few: Rocky Marciano, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, all 40 Yankee Stadium. So it was an interesting fact of the week, but it was a layup. It was a layup for at least for Sock because we're from the Bronx here, and being that I picked the fact of the week, something related to the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees. The team that Socrates hates the most. Him being a Boston Red Sox fan, he has the Red Sox hat on, as you can see. But yeah, that is the fact of the week. Yankee Stadium has held the most world championship bouts as baseball ballparks. I don't know as far as fields and play because UK has had many fights at soccer fields, but as far as baseball ballparks, Yankee Stadium has the most. So that is this week's fact of the week. Hopefully, Rich is proud of me this week. I usually try to throw a different one out there, as far as the fact of the week is concerned. But it was an easy one. Congrats to both of you for hitting the fact of the week on your first try. I believe both of you first time on the show getting the fact of the week. So I appreciate that. But yeah, that's it for today, man. This show went well. I appreciate you guys, man. This was great. We basically did our TD Sports Talk show on Rich Mancuso's Keep It in Ring show, so we don't have to talk boxing later tonight. I think we're going to try to do football tonight. If not, we'll wait till Sunday. By the way, guys, somebody in this panel is like on a 6-game winning streak in football. I'm not going to mention who, but he's doing really well in this football. That's all I got.
Somebody on the panel. This week.
Wait, say that again.
I said somebody on the panel about to get their tail whooped this week. They got whooped last week. They about to get whooped again this week.
Listen, we'll see what happens. This week's tough. We're going to talk about that later. The odds, the spreads are pretty tough this week. The only good thing about this week is that I don't have to worry about the Seahawks. They already won this week, so I don't have to sweat out any games until next weekend. So, and Sock, what do you think about your picks?
You were sweating at the end of that game. I know you were sweating.
Oh, I was ready to hit something. I really was. That's no cap. And you know what's funny? That I'm glad you mentioned that because Rich Mancuso's favorite football team is the Arizona Cardinals. So sorry, Rich, the Seahawks had to beat up your team yesterday. So, but Rich will be back with us next week. We'll be going live next Thursday night. The Keeping It in the Ring program continues. Hopefully have Robbie Rebel back, talk a little bit of wrestling. We didn't do wrestling tonight. Wrestling has been kind of dead lately, in my opinion. So we'll be back next Thursday. We'll talk a little bit of wrestling as well as boxing. Not much to go around in boxing. There's a couple fights this weekend. Najee Lopez is fighting this weekend on Pro Box. Always look forward to seeing him up and coming, I believe, light heavyweight. So we'll be back next Thursday, hopefully, because, the playoffs, I believe, start, and Rich is covering the playoffs as well. With that being said, you guys got any closing thoughts, and we'll close out the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Appreciate you having me on, and we'll see you later tonight.
I'll see you guys. I appreciate all you guys in the chat that came through and very active in the chat with the questions and comments. Made me laugh too at times. I really do appreciate you guys. If I missed you, know that I saw you and I appreciate you as well. So until next week, I'll let you guys close it out. What does Rich Mancuso always say?
Keep it in the ring. Right?
Keep it in the ring. Take care, everybody.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.